It's just about time to jump back into the school routine if you haven't already. The back-to-school routine can sometimes leave parents feeling overwhelmed. Author and mother of 6, Colleen Burns, says there are steps you can take to ease back into the routine, and it all starts with you.
Your mood is setting the tone, so make sure you sound and look calm even if you're not inside, because if you start getting worked up, they're going to get worked up, and having a meltdown is a lot more time consuming than someone who's just dawdling a bit.
True story. Another tip from Colleen: no electronics until everyone is ready to go in the morning. That's a rule in our house.
That's a great idea. Now, preparing ahead of time before getting back into the swing of things can also make all the difference in the world. How about a few more tips for making the back-to-school transition a smooth one?
It happens every year, but every year parents and their kids aren't ready for it.
Gosh, I think it's kind of crazy. I see parents going and trying to scurry around and get school supplies and new clothes.
First, try reestablishing routines a few days before school begins by having your child wake up and eat their meals at the same time each day. Also, prepare activities for them to do at the time when school would be in session. Next, give your child room to be independent, because they'll have to manage a lot on their own at school. Have them practice doing things like writing, getting dressed by themselves. Also, try setting up a space and time for homework so that they'll be able to come home and get their work done on time in a place with no distractions. Going back to school should be an exciting time for everyone, so make sure it's stress-free by using some of these tips.
Also, make sure you've got a 6-day game plan now. Be sure to get the school a list of people who can pick up your child. You need to have at least 3 people, 5 people if possible, who are willing and able to pick up your child while you're at work.
Oh, very important. Another big part of back to school: packing those lunches. And you want your child to eat something healthy, but some of the things you're packing could put your little one in danger.
Milk, yogurt, fruits, all things you might pack in a child's typical lunch.
I like to be consistent with healthy choices.
But your healthy intentions could end up getting your child sick. 1 in 3 Americans get food poisoning each year, many of them children. So how do you pack a lunch that's safe for your kids?
She has a insulated thermos, and so we put it in an insulated thermos.
Studies show the best way to keep lunches safe is to always have an ice pack or 2 with meats or dairy products. Use plastic wrap for foods that need to remain cool, and use an insulated lunchbox rather than a bag to help regulate temperature. These small changes can play a big role in making your child's food safe to eat.
Another way to pack a safe lunch: put in just enough food for a lunchtime meal. Then you won't have to worry about the temperature and safety of leftovers. Now, for many parents, though, they have another concern: food allergies. Jimmy has more on that.
Lisa, researchers believe up to 15 million people have food allergies. That breaks down to about 1 in every 13 children, or roughly 2 in every classroom. Food allergies are a serious and sometimes life-threatening condition. Sending a food-allergic child to school can cause a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. So joining us today to help parents and children learn how to manage food allergies at school is pediatrician Dr. J.J. Levenstein. Dr. Levenstein, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, Jimmy.
It seems like this
to be here.
is becoming more and more of a problem. What are some of the most common food allergies?
Well, there are about 160 foods that have actually been implicated in food allergy, but there are 8 that comprise 90% of allergies. So in order of incidence, there are milk and eggs, followed by peanuts and tree nuts, shellfish, fish, soy, and wheat. So these 8 are sort of the top 8 bad guys that people focus on most of the time.
Those are the biggies there. Okay, so we know we shouldn't expose our children to foods they're obviously allergic to, but shouldn't we start exposing them at some point or another to some of these foods to see?
You're exactly right, because science now has led us into the direction that we should introduce these high-risk foods before a year of age, and this is the most recent recommendation of the American Academy of Pediatrics and allergists in the United States. So ideally, you would get these top 8 in, and a variety of other good foods from the table within the first year of life.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll start to see a de-escalation of these numbers.
So how would you suggest we do it? And I guess most importantly, should we have like a bottle of antihistamine on hand just in case?
Well, I think for any parent who's introducing a high-risk food, they need to be present. So you don't want to give your first egg or your first whole milk product in a restaurant. You want to do it at home where you can directly observe your child for a couple of hours. And that way, if there is any kind of reaction, you're going to be able to react to it appropriately and have the appropriate tools and the phone at ready in case you need to talk to your pediatrician.
What kind of things should we look for just in case?
Well, I think allergies can run the gamut of something as simple as itch in the roof of the mouth, to a tummy ache, to hives, to swelling of the lips and face, to the worst case scenario, which is cardiovascular collapse. It's called anaphylactic shock.
Right.
It's very rare that kids would have an anaphylactic reaction on the first exposure to a protein, but it has been known to happen with some. And so a parent really needs to, as they're feeding their kids new foods, be there to really observe and develop a level of comfort after several servings so that they can know that that food is safe for their child. But when in doubt, if they feel that there's an allergy, they need to consult with their healthcare provider, and often get testing and a direct food challenge with a board-certified allergist.
Dr. Levenstein, as a pediatrician, you would know. Me as a parent, how would I be able to differentiate between a food intolerance and a food allergy?
Yes, you can. I think that with intolerance, typically kids are going to have a tummy ache, they may have some bloating, they may have some diarrhea, but it never really progresses to anything else. There's nothing at the level of the skin, there's no breathing issues attached to it, and there's nothing that's life-threatening, as opposed to an allergy, which you might see sort of march up and escalate with each subsequent food exposure. So you might start with a little bit of itch, the next exposure, some hives, and at that point that should trigger, we better stop it, call our pediatrician and find out what our next step is.
Okay, so let's jump forward a few years. We know our child has allergies. How should we manage that when our child goes to school?
Well, there are a lot of layers to this, and I think with time being short right now, one great resource is a website called peanutallergyfacts.org, and this is a website for schools, for principals, for school nutritionists, for school nurses, and also parents of children with allergies to help manage the problem in the school directly. And there's great resources there, great websites, and it's a great place for anyone to go who wants to know more about food allergies, because face it, one day your kid's friend may come over who has an allergy, and you want to be able to manage that appropriately in your household as well. So everybody can learn something from this great resource here.
Pediatrician Dr. J.J. Levenstein, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, if you would like to read more about how you can manage your child's food allergies when you're not around, just go to WBOC.com and click on our picture at the top of the page. Okay, so now we know what to avoid. A little bit later on in Delmarva Life, we're going to get a few neat ideas on what to include in your child's lunch. How about a healthy version of those prepackaged meals? Well, maybe your lunch packing days are over. You've got a child away at college. Have you ever stopped to think whether or not they're covered should something happen to them? From the car to the computer, we're going to find out. But first, we talked about food allergies, and we talked about our kids. Our four-legged kids can get allergies too. Find out what causes them and how you can provide them with some relief. Delmarva Life will be right back.